Hi everyone, welcome back to Youth Korner Podcast Jeunesse. I'm Emma, your host, and today we're sitting down with Brooke Fullerton, who is a Laurentian Regional High School graduate, lifelong resident of the Laurentians of Argenteuil, and who is a musician, a piano player, a singer, and also a music teacher now. So Brooke, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So to get things started, can I just ask, when did you graduate from LRHS?
I graduated in 2019.
2019. Okay, so it's been a little while now, not super long, but long enough that you've got a little bit of extra perspective now. So yeah, to get things started, I would just love to know what it was like for you to grow up here in Argenteuil and in the Laurentians.
I moved here when I was 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it completely brought a new sense of community and a new sense of you're with the same people from elementary school to high school. You're just with the same group and you get to see everyone evolve and
getting to see everybody at different stages of their life. So that makes sense. So it's been a while, but not like a super long time for you.
I'm not that old.
And and have you been in the Laurentians area the whole time since, or did you only come back recently?
I've been coming back. I, after high school, moved with my parents in Drummondville, and music kind of brought me back to the area. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So you said you were living in Drummondville. You lived in Drummondville for a couple of years, right?
I did.
Was it mostly during the pandemic years?
Yeah, I guess so. After the pandemic was over, I moved out to Montreal. So yeah, it'd be okay. During those 3 years.
Yeah, if I can ask too, because Drummondville is it's beyond Montreal as well too. It's an area that a lot of people in this area, like in this part of the Laurentians at least, don't necessarily even really know exists.
Drummondville is in the middle of nowhere.
It really is.
Yes.
Having grown up in the Laurentians, or primarily in the Laurentians as well, what was the difference really in terms of moving from here to there, especially as a young adult?
I think being bilingual, it was kind of just like a norm here. Like I think if you spoke English or French, it was just seen as normal. Mm-hmm. Drummondville is primarily very francophone.
Okay.
And not that I was like, oh, you speak English. It was more the change of just being francophone completely. And I think it really changed my whole, I don't know, view on speaking French.
Okay. How so? Like what parts of living there really changed? Like I know you mentioned as well too, is that it's like almost exclusively francophone there as well too.
Yeah.
But how did that change your relationship with speaking French? Because you were able to speak French when you moved there, correct?
Yes, it was always made very important by my mom that I spoke French. She put me in French school from preschool to grade 1, not knowing a word of French. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've always just known it. But then like it was just went to the point that you kind of have no choice. It's like if you don't know French, then it's like kind of a good luck. But
yeah.
But really working in like restaurants, working in with people, just like it improved my French like to another level.
Well, that's something, and we've discussed this a number of times off camera as well too. But that's one of the topics that comes up a lot too, is like, how do people learn French? If English is their first language, or not their first language, but their first, common Laurentians language, how do you learn French from there? And I think a lot of people don't realize it's kind of like a catch-22 situation, because you need French to be able to work, but you need to be able to work to learn
to get the French,
and it's just like an endless cycle as well.
Yeah.
So I think you were very lucky in that sense to have had that very early
and my
initiation into it, I suppose.
Yeah, and my mom was born here but grew up in California, so she's always had her French and her English. So it was very much
so you were exposed to both.
Yeah, it was a very franglais, as they say, home.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, in terms of like the TV shows or movies or music that you guys would listen to, because your mom was born here but wasn't necessarily raised here, did you get a lot of exposure to French media as a kid, or was it exclusively English?
More French movies, French shows, I would watch my movies that I knew in English, and then whatever, like, I would just kind of translate it in my head, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But music, not so much. I think music has always just been English music. But yeah, it was just really practicing with, like, movies and, like, Disney movies that I knew. That was, like, really my exposure to it at a young age.
Right. And so following that train of thought as well too, when you went into elementary and especially into high school as well, did you find that you, like, your level of French was staying about the same? Did it decrease? Did it increase?
Well, starting, I literally knew no French whatsoever. So it definitely, like, my first couple of years in elementary school, it went from, like, 0 to, I wouldn't say 100, but, like, it definitely improved over time. And then I think once I got to high school, it was basically the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that point, I guess.
And then after that point, I started working, and, like, that's when, like, I started seeing improvements and, you know, just how fluent it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense too, because when you're in English school as well, and even if a lot of your friends are Francophone, even in English school, oftentimes you're going to be speaking in English, and like a lot of the shows and movies you'll watch together are in English, and the music you listen to is in English as well. But then once you start working, that's when you really start becoming more exposed
Yeah, no,
to
it changed my whole, like, just having to, you know, think fast, kind of just like like you would in any of your first language. It's just like you just have to
do it.
You just gotta do it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense too, as well as just there's so much to take in at that age too, especially, like, say somebody starts working at 16, 17 years old. You're still very young, but you're old enough to be able to make snap decisions a little bit more. So to be in a position where you are required to do things, people are relying on you, you have to make decisions by yourself, sometimes completely on the fly, and you're doing it in a language that is not your first language. I can only imagine how many connections are happening. Yeah, it's kind of
like 10 things happening at once, and it's like, well, I got to figure out something to help me out a little bit. So
yeah. I've definitely found as well, because I also lived in Montreal for a couple of years, and I found that during that time, the people that I knew from having grown up in the Laurentians who were also living in Montreal at the same time, people who were born and raised in Anglophone households who learned French as a second language and really only got to start using it as teenagers are honestly some of the most laid back people I've ever met, because I think because they had that experience of being in high stress working environments in a second language very young. Yeah. And then after that, things don't seem like such a big deal.
No, it's like,
so long as you can communicate.
Exactly. As long as I can get from point A to point B and, like, you understand it ever so slightly, it's like, okay.
Yeah. But well, okay, so moving on as well too, one of the things that you mentioned, you talked about moving to Drummondville and then coming back into the Laurentians, and that it was music that brought you into the Laurentians. That's kind of one of the really big things that I want to talk about today. So you are a, like, multi-talented singer, musician, performer, writer.
I must stop.
But you are involved in a band here in the Laurentians very frequently as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, in 2019, I guess, or 2020, right after I graduated high school. Yeah. I had Tom Foreman.
Who, if anybody does not know, that is my father.
Yes, well. I had Tom Foreman reach out to me and ask me if I'd be interested in playing piano for his band at the time that Anna Foreman was doing, Emma's mom. And it was kind of just like a test run of, like, come see what it's like, and if you like it, then we'll see what goes from there. And I went one Friday night, and it kind of just, I never stopped going. It's been since 2019 that I've been at the Foreman residence every Friday doing band practice. Yeah. And
that's, having spent all the pandemic years as well in that house and seeing that development too, because I don't remember being present for the first visit, but I remember being present for the first few months as well. And seeing how the band changed, but also seeing how you were changing with it as well was a really, really interesting thing. So can you tell us a little bit about what is the style of the band and why is it that you connect with that?
Style of the band, I think this year has changed. I think we're all over the place, but when I say that, like, I mean it in the best way of like, we don't stay stuck on one thing. And I think that's what makes it so fun, that there's no rule per se. I mean, mainly rock, country, like Americana type of music. I'm definitely one of the younger people in the band.
Yeah. You're not the only youth member.
I'm not the only youth member. My friend Joshua, who's with us now, but
and what does he do?
Josh is our drummer.
Right.
And then we have Tom, Matt, and Steve. It's just like it's kind of like an odd group of people. It's three friends who grew up together and
also from the Laurentians.
All from the Laurentians, and me and Josh, who were in the same year, who just joined on later. But yeah, it's quite an original group, but like I don't see it any other way. But yeah.
We've talked a little bit about like the process of getting into music and that sometimes you just stumble into it as well. But I think the reality that a lot of people, in 2026 who either want to get into music or have just started getting into music, I think one of the big things that they face as a struggle is promotion and exposure and like getting people to listen to their music and see their shows. What are some of the important tricks of the trade, if you will, that you guys as a band have been experiencing, especially when we're looking at it from the fact that you come from a smaller town and a smaller region?
I didn't realize how important that was when I started playing, like exposure to, we had like Facebook pages and Instagram pages, which like are important, like, but just really like staying consistent with posting, which I think I noticed I started a TikTok page because nobody in the band wanted to start one, but I'm 24 and chronically on TikTok. So obviously I started a TikTok page and just consistent posting of even the stuff that's not good, the stuff that is good, the stuff like the funny stuff, the more vulnerable side of what you're doing behind the scenes. Just posting consistently, I noticed it made a huge difference. And just not being afraid to, post an embarrassing clip or a whatever. Like, I think that's what people want to see more now.
Yeah, it's true.
And people want to see a more vulnerable side because, look, you can find a band or a group of music that just like could be the same thing over and over again, but you need something I feel like to set you apart.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. You bring up a good point as well, because a lot of people tend to, more and more these days, especially with the rise of social media and social media access, people want to see the human side of things. And I find that the band is really good, especially even just in like the image that you guys project as well. And that's very curated as well, where it's like, these are relatable people. These are people that you would pass on the street.
It makes it so much more, you feel way more connected to a band or a singer or a musician, just being able to connect to them on like a personal level too, and being like, oh, this is just a normal person. Yeah. Just with the same interests as I do. And
okay. Yeah. So other than consistent social media or just consistent promotion in general, what's another recommendation that you would make for somebody who's trying to, whether it's a band or an individual who's trying to get into performing? What's another tip that you would give them?
I had literally no experience when I started. I did not play anywhere other than high school. It was high school shows. So I had no experience out of high school going into it. And it was really just putting yourself out there, just literally telling friends, telling family, like, hey, I play piano, as much as like it's kind of like a awkward, hey, I play piano, but like honestly just getting the word across from people to people, and you just, hopefully one person's name is like, oh, like I remember that Brooke played piano, maybe we can get her for one thing, and then after it's just like a ripple effect of like, oh, okay. So just putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And really like lean into word of mouth as well.
Yes.
Like if
especially in a community like this,
yes,
I think it's very important, and use it to your advantage. Like,
yeah. Like it's when you're in if somebody is going into this and they are in a position where they have people that they can talk to about this, just being able to say, like, whether it's your parent or your sibling or a cousin or somebody else in your close proximity of like, hey, this is something I'm going to go play this gig at this restaurant on Thursday night. If you want to come, please do. Or if like, you know, somebody that wants to come along, then like go for it. And that's really how, honestly, anything these days, but especially anything that has to do with arts really starts to blossom.
Yeah, just ask. Like, literally, it sounds so silly, but really just ask people. And like, you'd be surprised the amount that like, I'll be at a show and you see someone come out and it's like, even if it's just one person I haven't seen in months, it's just like, it's even encouraging. It's just like makes you want to do it even more, because you're like, oh, this person would come out for me and come and see me and come and, you know, support what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I guess you always have to have that
gotta be a bit vulnerable, I guess, in that sense.
Exactly. But also to have a little bit of that internal voice saying like, people do actually want to see you and they want to go out and they want to experience live music. Like, live music seems to be so condensed to just concerts now as well.
No, I want like live music while I'm just sitting down, like enjoying the weather, and like, wow, I get to watch a band
at
just
a
play.
festival or at a pub or at a restaurant or anything like that.
One of our favorite shows that we've done, or ones in the weirdest of locations, we've done shows on a dock. We've done with
a few times
with kayakers and people on boats just coming and just sitting down, and it's like people just show up and it's like a friend of a friend, or it's like a neighbor heard there's music coming over from next door, so they just like swim on over in that sense. But
quite literally as well.
But yeah, no, I just ask, just put yourself out there, just don't be afraid to look stupid.
Yeah. So just like have a little bit of confidence and be consistent.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here as well. If you want to be getting into this field of performance, or especially into music, just let yourself believe for a little bit that somebody does actually want to go and see what you're doing.
Because
on
they
stage.
do. They very much do.
They very much do. Yeah. Wow. And so I guess a lot of the stuff that you guys do is like folk rock in a sense as well too. But so much of the songwriting is Laurentian's based as well. It's all stories.
Yes, absolutely. It's
in
stories
some way,
that
shape, or form.
Stories either from us, stories that we've picked up on people, stories like, it's all over the place, which I think makes it just more fun, even performing it, just knowing like the backstory of it, or like where it's coming from. And it's like, you know, there's some people who just won't get it on a different level, because like, if you're, I don't know, I feel like if you're just from here, it's just, you can correlate to it a little more than what like I don't know, someone from Montreal per se.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a really good point too, as well, is that when you look at some of the songs as well, and when you hear the lyrics and you see the performance, when you look at like two different venues, so if you do it, say at a venue in Montreal, people are hearing the real, like, this great music, and they're up and dancing and singing along, and they chat with you guys afterwards, and they want to know about the stories, they want to learn about it. Yeah. But they don't necessarily have that connection to the Laurentians and to Argenteuil specifically, to really recognize and connect with it on another level. But then when you guys have performed at the Lachute Agricultural Fair a few years in a row now, and that's a whole other ball game as well,
it's a whole different vibe of a show. It's like it's just like you just get it. That's
everybody in the crowd, even if they weren't there for the event that inspired that story, that inspired that song, they all have been in a situation that resembles it in some way, and they really connect with that. When we're looking at it from the context of, you know, small town Quebec as well, why is music like that important? Like, why do you think that people really connect with it like that?
I feel like, I don't know, it's like an outsider, like it's something just like a small knit community that like that you can just have that like other people won't understand. I don't know how I would
It's the culture of small town transcribed.
Yeah, like I've been living in Montreal now for 4 years, and I try and describe what I go and do on a weekend, and everyone's like, I don't know what you're doing, but it's
entirely different reality.
Yeah, it's really like it's such a hard thing to explain if you're just like not in it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
well, it's such an interesting thing too, as well, is that like I think one of the things that a lot of people who grew up in an area like this, especially if they were coming from an Anglophone community as well, when they leave the area and they don't come back, a lot of things that I've heard is that even if they're perfectly happy where they are in the lives that they're leading, and I always hope that that's the case, when I've had conversations with them previously, and I think you've probably had this experience too, there's a part of them that really longs for that sense of community as well too. There's a very unique culture in an area like Argenteuil or any of the other MRCs in the Laurentians as well, that you can't possibly understand what that's like unless you've lived it. And I think in a place like we're recording this in Lachute. Lachute is such an interesting area too, because it is as much English as it is French in terms of that culture and that sense of culture. Everyone here belongs to that regardless of what language they speak. So when they leave, they all remember the same thing. Yes.
And like, look, it's probably the same thing for someone from another town that we won't ever get because like we weren't in it. So it's but
to have that experience immortalized in music and in music that not only is based off of this region but is written, recorded, practiced, performed in this region as well.
It's all here.
It's crazy. It's such a unique cultural element, I guess is the only way that I can really explain that. So if I can ask you a couple of questions as well, because we are both graduates of Laurentian Regional High School, and Laurentian Regional High School has a long history of really talented performing arts students as well. Even though there's music programs and there used to be a theater program, but it's a different thing. You don't necessarily have to be coming out of those programs. It's just there is a culture in this area of children who become adults with very strong musical capabilities. You were one of them. What is something that you would want to let kids and students who are in the same position that you were in back then, what would you want them to know in terms of whether it's joining a band or studying music or just continuing to keep music in your life?
Honestly, after high school, I was like, well, I have nothing else musically. I wasn't in a band in high school. I would play by myself. I would like in my room, I would play piano and that was about it. And I'm like, okay, like I was involved in Remembrance Day ceremonies and variety shows and music shows at the end of the year. And yeah, I think in Sec 5, it kind of hit me of like, oh, like, I don't know what's going to be.
What am I going to do?
What am I going to do after it? And I mean, like I had the opportunity to join the band with Tom and everyone and like completely changed it. But I was like, oh, if I'm not going into education or if I'm not going into like music producing or something, it's over. But I don't know. I think just put yourself out there. Like there's so many people that you won't even expect that like play like an instrument, like just literally just grab something, just go and play, just go and try. And I don't know. It's just like, it can't hurt to try. And even if nothing comes out of it,
it's still fun.
It's still so fun. It's so fun. I look forward to it every Friday, being able to just be like, oh, I can let my week go and just go and play for a couple hours with people who enjoy playing just as much as me. So
it's I love that mentality with it too, as well, is that I think that a lot of students and a lot of kids who have these talents and have these skills, whether they took lessons or not growing up, there's a lot of pressure on them to pursue this or to always keep it like this is what you have to go and do this as a career later on. But then you also have to face the reality that that's a very difficult career to become successful in when you don't grow up in an area that has a ton of resources or a ton of recognition in the public eye. So to that, and I like how you phrase that as well, is like, if it's something that's important to you, make time for it, but don't stress yourself out over it, because that's when it stops being fun.
I think that's when it stops being fun. If it's forced, like I see it as a way of like, it's honestly a huge stress reliever. It's I don't know. It's just something that I didn't think anything would happen out of it. And in my brain, when I first started playing, I'm like, even if nothing does happen out of it, I'm just having a good time.
Yeah.
It's like, just don't take it so seriously.
Just do your best to have fun with it, but don't stress yourself out with it. And funny how that comes full circle as well too, because not only are you now part of a band, you're also a music teacher as well. And you are getting to not just pass that knowledge on, but also pass that attitude on as well too, to students who, whether they have that musical skill or not, whether they have a desire to pursue that later on, you're in a very interesting position now that, as you said, you never expected yourself to be in.
Never.
That you can just, you can, you know, raise the next generation of musicians, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I just never, school definitely never came easy to me. I was not the best student. Grade wise, I was always well behaved. But yeah, no, I was like, there's no way I could ever go into like teaching something, or I could never go into anything with music other than like playing for fun. But yeah, it's kind of crazy now that I can get to do as a job too, and kind of get like the best of both worlds.
No kidding. And how do you, like, just to give listeners an idea, how do you feel about that? Like, do you ever kind of step back and look at it from like a bigger lens and realize this is not at all what I expected?
All the time, especially I play in a band with one of my former teachers.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm at their house with one of my former elementary school music teacher and someone, Tom, who was my teacher for 3 years and saw me doing the Remembrance Day shows and the variety shows and all that. And it's just like kind of a surreal, like, oh, this is weird.
This is where I am now.
This is where I am now. I'm kind of,
Well, it's always interesting talking to you about that progress too, because I saw it from from the perspective of a friend and a family member, but also looking at it from like an objective lens as well. Yeah, it's kind of wild, because
it's
a lot of people, I think, especially if they want to go into the performing arts, I don't think if they're coming from this area, they look at this area as somewhere that they can go back to be successful with this. But I think it really comes down to how you quantify success in arts and in music as well.
Absolutely.
Because we've talked about this before too, but I think you said, like, you know, and the other band members have expressed that as well, of, you know, they feel successful in what they're doing, and because how they quantify success is different.
Like, we're, at the end of the day, we're just 5 people playing music because we love it, and we have good laughs on Friday night just to decompress. And like, look, if something good comes out of it, wonderful, no complaint. And if it doesn't, at the end of the day, we still know that we're just doing what we love. We doing what we love, and
yeah. Well, Brooke, we're going to wrap up very shortly. Thank you so much for coming on. The band, which is called Foreman and Co as well, you guys it's an album release happening soon.
Album release. We had a single release today.
It was today too?
It was today.
Wow. Okay.
Another redneck wedding.
Wow. So if anybody is curious about Brooke and her music and the band that she's a part of, they are called Foreman and Co. You guys are available on pretty much all streaming platforms, right? Nice. So go check them out if you're curious. Go read the lyrics to these songs. You're going to learn a story or two. If you are from the Laurentians, if you're from Argenteuil, you might even recognize some of these stories or elements of these stories as well.
Story on the new album about Emma. So everyone,
that is true. So go check them out. If you are a performer If you are a musician, if you're a piano player or a singer, leave us a comment. Tell us what instrument you play, what songs you love to play, what style of music you connect with most. So Brooke, once again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.